Alright, so on to my next project I'm working on in the interior. So I run a Android head unit. This is a 8.8 inch kind of widescreen. Joying is the brand. It sits in and gets held with these pins. There's a cable that comes out of there. So you can move these pins around, but right now I have it sort of in this area, so I don't block the vents. When I'm sitting at this angle, it does halfway block the HVAC controls, so when I have to go tweak something, I kind of have to like scoot down and kind of figure out these buttons and all that. Also, this tends to either kind of sit kind of an angle, and what I do is I just rip this off, but I had like a Velcro to make sure it doesn't pop out. What I like to do is, there's this kind of glove box area, or sorry, a partial shelf area. You can move these HV controls pretty easy. I tried to do this one hand, but basically there's a snaps, or sorry, little pins that you can pull this over. There's a little bit of give in the cable, so I think I can move it over here, and maybe that will give me opportunity to like run this a little lower so I don't quite have that gap, and it'll be a little bit more nicer. This way I also have the kind of split the shelf into two, so I'll have a little shelf area here and then a little shelf area here. This shelf area would be under the head unit, which is fine, and if I don't like it, I'm just gonna move it back. So I'm gonna try to do that, and I think I do need both hands with this, but I'll show you in a second here. So I had to use both hands to do that, but basically there's these tabs, you end up pulling down on them. So you can see there's a little bit of give here, which you can kind of scoot this over. There is a bucket here, which there's two screws from the bottom. So if I back those screws off, I can move this bucket, and instead of screwing two new holes there, I might just double side tape that where it's at. But the goal here is to, I tried to see if there's any give on this line coming out, but there's not. So I'm just gonna kind of, instead of right there, shift it over, and essentially it will be located like that. And so when I have this here, I'm gonna mount it a little lower. It still covers it, so I might try to move it over. But in general, when I'm drive this car in the nice weather, it'll be on the AC setting, so it'll be a little easier to push the buttons. Basically, I think my view is kind of like that, and I also think we're able to move this down and move it closer, so that way it has a better angle. But yeah, let me see if I can move it over more. That way I kind of get the thing relocated all the way into that side. But let me fiddle with that a little bit. Alright, so here's where we're at. Got this, took the two screws underneath there off. Kind of pushed this as much as I can. Mark the center here. So this is going to go in there like so, and then when I install this, these two grooves will basically sit on that. Since I'm not going to drill more holes here on the other side to fix this, I'm just going to put some 3M tape on this one and then set it in there, and that way that will be more secure. That way it's not just kind of friction fit and bust over. And so I'm going to apply some 3M tape. Alright, got everything moved over successfully, and this is in there where I wanted to. These screws now have to be a nut and bolt, because before the screw was going into that plastic piece that is now in this part. So this one's wiggly. The center, I have the oil temperature pressure gauge in there. that's kind of been held by this screw. So I'm gonna have to drop some nuts and bolts in here to keep that secure. So this is a nice, it's gonna be a hidden, like a storage area that you can like put your glasses in there. And then there's still one spot over here that you can put some other stuff. And then the Lotus has another little spot right here, put my keys. So I am going to start fiddling with the monitor and see where I want it mounted as far as height goes on this one. There's a little adjustability. You can move these up and down, so they'll like, ½ inch up and down. Alright, everything is in. Starting it up to check everything works. I moved this down a little bit. They move in ½ inch increments, so I figured this would be better than slightly covering it. So let's see if this all works. I think you need it. Yep. Seems to all work. So I'm going to call that a success. I still need to put in these 2 screws. I'm going to do that off camera. And so this mod cost me nothing, and the only thing I lose is really, I had a bag that goes in here, so now I kind of have to figure what would fit in here, and we end up kind of splitting the storage area. Initially there was a small storage area right here, so I kind of increased that, but then I made this smaller. Anyways, that's going to be complete for this modification.